Where is the Doctor? Who is the Doctor? Why is the Doctor? Doctor Who has many questions, and we've all been left scratching our heads at numerous points over the last 60 years. Now, that's not to say these questions are impossible to explain, it's just that plot coherence isn't their strong suit. I'm Ellie for Who Culture, here with the 10 most confusing scenes in Doctor Who history. Number 10. The Paradox Machine. Let's not even get started on how the 10th Doctor is de-aged by good vibes. The most confusing thing about Last of the Time Lords is the Paradox Machine. Specifically, it's why exactly the Doctor waits so long to let Captain Jack pump several rounds into it with an assault rifle. When they first discover the Paradox Machine, the Doctor is keen to point out that he can't stop it until he knows what it's for, and that if he touches the wrong bit, it could blow up the solar system. This implies the machine must be carefully deprogrammed, like cutting the correct wire in a live bomb. But then Captain Jack comes along in the very next episode and wildly rains down metal hell upon the machine like he's playing Call of Duty. Even more confusing is that the Doctor knows the Paradox Machine will kick in at 8:02, 2 minutes after first contact with the Toclophane. So why not just hang out in the TARDIS for a bit and destroy it then? You could have saved yourself all that time spent as a house elf and saved Martha's family from a terrible ordeal. I mean, come on, Doctor. You're smarter than this. Number 9. What the flux is with that pot? In many ways, Flux is an extraordinary achievement, given the real-world obstacles it faced in order to get made. However, it is also a hot mess. Remember Yaz, Dan, and Jericho's mission to retrieve an offering pot from a Mexican temple? Well, Yaz says that she has to decipher it so they can find out when the world is going to be in terrible danger. Are they forgetting what happened on the 31st of October? Halloween? There was a whole Halloween apocalypse. A talking dog showed up and everything. Okay, sure, okay, the Doctor wants Yaz to find the date that nefarious forces will take advantage of the flux, rather than the date of the actual event. But still, 31st of October 2021 is a pretty good starting point, right? Should only be a few days later or a couple of weeks at the most. And in the end, the whole offering pot thing doesn't really matter much because they soon stumble upon Joseph Williamson's timey-wimey tunnels, bringing them exactly where they needed to be. It all feels like a diversion simply to give the regulars something to do for half an hour, which, let's be honest, it probably was. Number 8. The Time Flight Master Reveal. There's a lot wrong with Time Flight, but the wrongest of the wrong is the Master's frankly ludicrous disguise as Khalid the Conqueror. You can absolutely see Time Flight as a Pertwee-era story, with the Roger Delgado Master hijacking planes for his evil plans. Delgado wouldn't have dressed as an alien mystic though, he would have just stuck on a pilot's cap and got on with it. So why exactly does the Anthony Ainley Master need to dress up as an ill-judged racial stereotype for his plan to work? For one thing, the Master is stranded in a barren wasteland, meaning that there's no need whatsoever to try and blend in with the locals. Secondly, he's capturing passenger jets for his own use, so he's got no reason to hide his identity. If anything, appearing as the Master instead of a grey-skinned alien conjurer would have made his prisoners respond to him better. It's clear they wanted to give the Master a disguise because, well, Master gonna master, but in this case it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Number 7. What a load of shackery. We all know why the climactic scenes of Steven Berkoff in The Power of Three are so clumsily realised. Berkoff was allegedly so difficult to work with that an alternate resolution to the plot had to be scrambled together at the last minute, and that resolution left a lot to be desired. The shackery suddenly disappears, the Doctor waves his sonic screwdriver, the spaceship explodes, and everything is fixed. What just happened? And why did it happen? Throw in some blatantly obvious close-up inserts of Matt Smith and Karen Gillan against a green screen, and the scene is so chaotic that it's hard to follow exactly what you're watching. We also never actually see any of the cubes defibrillate anyone back to life. There's no tension, no build-up, there's nothing. It all just amounts to the Doctor waving his Sonic at a sci-fi TV screen and saving the day. Which, to be fair, is roughly 87% of Doctor Who resolutions, but this one was clunkier than most. Number 6. Orson Pink's family links. The Orson Pink character in Listen doesn't become confusing until Danny Pink gets run over by a car in dark water. Spoiler alert, I guess. Orson looks exactly like Danny, so the implicit suggestion is that on the night of her first date with Danny, Clara meets a potential future descendant. So when Danny dies, what does that mean for Orson? Doctor Who is fond of telling us that time is always in flux, so it was surely possible that Orson was from a future where Clara and Danny lived happily ever after. However, However, with Danny dead, Orson would never be born. And yet, that's not what Stephen Moffat said when asked about Orson Pink in Doctor Who magazine. Moffat said that Orson was a, quote, lateral descendant of Danny. But how could that be possible when we meet the orphaned Danny in a children's home? During the 2020 lockdown tweet-along of Listen, Moffat also said, quote, there is no paradox. Danny's father had an estranged brother who also had a family. Even if that were true, where did Orson get the toy soldier? And how does he know about all that time travel in his family history? Stephen, what does it all mean? Tell me! Number 5. Can chess pieces team up? During the climax of The Curse of Fenric, Ace inadvertently reveals the solution to the 7th Doctor's chess puzzle, which was designed to fox his ancient foe. The correct solution is that the black and white pawns don't fight each other, they join forces. Now, you can look through chess message boards for hours and hours and hours and not find a single explanation for how it's possible that a black pawn and a white pawn can work together. What is this, bloody wizard chess? Famously, The Curse of Fenric had to be cut down for broadcast, with a feature-length edit being released years later with 12 more minutes of material. But it still doesn't make this moment any less confusing. The point being made by writer Ian Briggs is that Fenric's view of the universe is so binary that he can't foresee a solution where two opposing forces would work together for the greater good. The greater good. But to be fair to Fenric, that solution will win you no favours at your local chess club. Wouldn't recommend. Number 4. Something Sea Devils. The climax of Legend of the Sea Devils is a confusing mess. The Chief Sea Devil plans to use the Keystone to flip the Earth's poles and create climate chaos that will flood the planet. Which, fine, very Doctor Who, but how many functions does this thing have? Already the Keystone has encased the Chief Sea Devil in stone, and it can also flip the Earth? That's one hell of a multi-tool. Now, Doctor Who isn't short of gadgets with infinite functionality. Sonic screwdriver. But there doesn't appear to be any logic to the Keystone's functions. To reverse the effects of the Keystone, the Doctor needs to short-circuit the Sea Devil's tech and turn the magnetic field in on itself. And to do that, the Doctor has to, hold a cable in place like it's a dodgy HDMI lead. Throw in some truly horrendous editing and questionable direction, and the last 20 minutes of Legend of the Sea Devils is more or less incomprehensible. But look, a shiny Next Time trailer with Ace and Tegan and 13 glowing with regeneration energy, and suddenly all is forgiven. Number 3. How does the Doctor know about Jamie and Zoe? Some Doctor Who scenes are so confusing that they've spawned multiple novels and Big Finish box sets that aim to solve said confusion. Patient zero for this kind of thing is the scene from The Five Doctors, in which the Second Doctor and the Brigadier encounter Jamie and Zoe in the Death Zone. The Second Doctor, who should have originated from a point before the War Games, the story in which he regenerated, somehow knows that Jamie and Zoe had their memories erased after they left him in the War Games. So how can this possibly be? Is it because the Third Doctor is also in the Death Zone, giving him a psychic link to his future? Or is it because there was a whole other series of Second Doctor adventures that happened in secret after the War Games? Well, if you believe the work of Terrance Dicks, it's the latter. Dicks wrote 2 novels, Players and World Game, which established that the Second Doctor worked as an operative for the Time Lords before landing on Earth as the Third Doctor. I mean, talk about commitment to canonising a script error. That is dedication. Number 2. What the hell is she pointing at? When we first met Ruby Sunday in the church on Ruby Road, we're told that she was named after the road on which she was abandoned as a baby. But at the end of Empire of Death, it's revealed that Ruby's mother chose the name by pointing at a street sign that magically appears before our very eyes at the end of the episode. It literally just appears, out of nothing. Ooh, not there. Oh, there it is. Confusingly, Ruby's mother doesn't point at anything in the church on Ruby Road. She just walks off into the night. The pointing only starts in Space Baby, where it's framed as a portent of something sinister, which it isn't. Factor in that both the sign and the pole it's attached to don't even exist in the church on Ruby Road, and it's a plot development of head-scratchingly baffling proportions. The pointing adds absolutely nothing to Ruby's story either, because we already know that the people who found her chose the name of their own volition, not from a pointing woman on a CCTV camera. And if Ruby's mother didn't want to be noticed, why would she point dramatically at a road sign and hope that someone around her would cotton on? It's all very strange. All we can say is it's a good job she didn't leave Ruby on Butthole Lane, which, before you ask, is a real street in England. Number 1. Day of the Moon's confusing opening. Day of the Moon begins in the Valley of the Gods in Utah, 3 months after the cliffhanger ending to The Impossible Astronaut. A terrified Amy is being chased by government agents, including Canton Everett Delaware III, who shoots her and bundles her into a body bag. In New York, River Song, the Burst character, dives off a skyscraper to escape Canton, and then at the Glen Canyon Dam, Rory Williams also dies. Again. Canton then takes the bodies of Amy and Rory to Area 51 and seals them inside the 11th Doctor's impossible prison, revealing that everyone was in on this crazy scheme to stage their deaths and seal the Doctor in a box of Lego. But why? When we left Canton and the TARDIS team in The Impossible Astronaut, they were escaping the silence, and they were free. The Doctor even lands the TARDIS inside Area 51. The only explanation is that they were keeping up appearances for the silence, so they didn't realise the Doctor was plotting against them. However, the only information that Amy, Rory, and River gather from their travels across the USA is that the silence are everywhere, which we kind of already knew. Also, if the silence are everywhere, then they surely would have seen River land in the TARDIS swimming pool after jumping, so all the subterfuge was pointless. Stephen Moffat once said that he likes to start part 2s under different circumstances, to hook viewers in and keep them on their toes, which is fine in principle, but this one probably needed a few more drafts. And that concludes our list, but for more confusing moments, why not check out 10 Doctor Who moments that make no sense? In the meantime, I've been Ellie for Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.